You won't believe this. We're in Macomb Township, Michigan. It's a little ways out of Detroit, but apparently somewhere in this industrial complex there's a place that actually specializes in import vehicles. British great classic cars like MGs and Morris Minors and Triumphs and that sort of thing, and we're trying to find it. We want to show you what's inside. These Americans love British cars. Let's go and see what we can find. Hey, wait a sec. Are you filming? Hang on. Look at this. Somebody's just pulled in. Excuse me, I'm looking for English Motors.
Oh yeah, it's right down here.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm just coming in for some service.
We're here for Men and Motors. My name's Adrian Bell. What's yours?
Hi, Sue Snyder. How do you do?
Hi, Sue. I love your car. We're here to see these cars. And what, are you coming in for service?
Yes, I am.
Great. Show me where this place is.
Right. Okay.
Excellent.
Follow me down.
Great. Well, that was certainly handy. Is it just here?
Yep, right here.
Excellent.
This is the place.
Look at this. Pete, get a shot of this. Macomb Township, outside of Detroit, and all these wonderful British cars. That's great. My new best friend is Sue Snyder. Sue,
hi,
it's great
Adrian.
to meet you.
How you doing?
Thanks for showing me the way.
Oh, great.
I guess the best place to start is this beautiful MG. I was thinking late 70s. What year is this?
This is a 1980, the last year built. I've owned this car since new. I bought it at Lang's in Detroit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, what's an American, you got a thick American accent, a Michigan accent. What's an American woman like yourself driving a British classic?
I've always liked the British cars. It all started when I was in high school, actually.
Is that right?
My brother-in-law had a Triumph, a TR4, and that was my first experience being around British cars. And the year I was a senior in high school, a friend of mine bought a Spitfire, and she didn't know how to drive a standard transmission, so I got to do all the driving.
Oh, right.
And that really started me.
This is a beautiful example. You keep it so nice, and you've had it since new, you say?
Yeah. Well, it's my baby.
Yeah. And how many miles are on it?
Oh, there are well over 100,000 miles on this car, right around 115, actually.
Has there been any performance pieces put on it over the years, or is it factory?
It's factory. The only thing that I have done is taken off the emissions systems. Now that they're no longer required for a collector's car, the performance is a little bit better without all that. So that's about the only thing that's been done to the car.
All right. Well, we will forgive you for doing that. I think the planet will, one less car being emitted properly. That's all right. Now, what do you feel about driving in this climate? A British car. Are they susceptible to breaking down?
Well, this one's been very reliable for me. As a matter of fact, for the first 5 years I owned the car, it was my daily driver. I drove it year-round. It's a great car in bad weather.
Really?
I always thought it was. It handles wonderfully.
Yeah.
In ice and snow. And I never really had any major problems with it.
You used to drive it year-round?
Yes.
Did the rust get to it anywhere?
It did. The car's been painted, and I had a lot of rust in all the usual spots on the rear wheel wells and the rockers.
Rocker
so
panels.
that's all been replaced because I intend to keep the car as long as I can.
Well, I have a secret to tell you. I have 2 MGs at home.
That's wonderful.
In Canada, I do.
That's wonderful.
In fact, when I lived in Britain and I was doing broadcasting there, I fell in love with a 1967 MGB. It's a GT with a sunroof cut into it. It really is amazing that someone, way out in the boonies like this is driving a British car.
Oh, you'd be surprised, Todd. There's a local MG club in the area, the Windsor Detroit MG Club, with close to 200 members.
Is that right?
Yes, and most of them are multiple car owners.
Right.
So, and we also have the Detroit Triumph Club, which I belong to, as well as the MG Club, and that is close to 200 members.
Right. I mean, it's really a contradiction, though, because here we are so close to Detroit, the big car makers, Ford and GM, and the history of Henry Ford. You're driving a British car, for God's sakes.
But I have an American car, too. So
oh, do you? What do you drive?
I drive a truck.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Excellent. Right. Well, this is like a kid on Christmas for me. Let's go and see what's inside, and maybe you can introduce me to some of your friends and colleagues.
Okay, I'd be happy to.
Come on inside, there's more to see.
Look at this. The place.
A battery charger, the old BMC sign.
Oh, Roots Group, Lotus, everything. You'll see parts, engines, trannies.
Transmissions, yeah, the hoists, everything.
This is Don's place.
Okay.
He does it all. He's our guru. If we couldn't exist without him.
And it looks like we've got someone over here to introduce ourselves to.
Here we go.
How are you guys?
Don. Don, this is Adrian.
Adrian Bell from Men and Motors, Granada Television. I'd love to know about your shop. It's a magnificent place. You got all these great British classic cars. What's an American guy like you running a shop for British cars?
Well, I grew up around British cars. My older brother had an Austin Healey 104. My sister had a Triumph. My first car was a 48 Singer 9.
Really?
And that was a hand-me-down car that all of us learned to drive on. And then my first car I ever purchased was a TVR,
Right.
and that was in '64.
So why was there all these British cars in your family? Are you originally British? Is there a connection?
No, I come from Pennsylvania,
Right.
and the East Coast was more prevalent as far as the British cars. There were just a lot more of them on the
I see.
East Coast.
Yeah.
And I had friends with TR4s, friends with MGAs, and that was what a young man wanted, was a British car
Back then, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
There
very
were
good.
no Japanese cars to speak
Sure.
of then. So,
Sure.
and nobody could afford a Ferrari, or
Right.
at least nobody I knew.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a great shop. Business is good, I assume?
We stay very steady.
Good.
It's great fun. The business has changed over the years. I've been here 21 years.
Right.
And at first we did a lot of tune-ups and brakes and that type of thing, routine maintenance. This one's mine, the
Oh, is it?
51. Yeah, the 51 Morgan is mine. Obviously I'm in the middle of a restoration. It was an absolute basket case.
Was it? Where did you find this, Don?
A customer gave it to me.
Gave it
Yeah,
to you?
gave it to me. He was, his son and he were gonna do it as a project together, and his son got married and moved away.
Right.
And it lingered in the basement and in the garage for years, and
Right.
then he was moving because of business and wanted to see it finished.
Yeah.
And so it was given to me, and
Wow.
I'm going to finish it.
for
Hopefully
you.
this winter. I should be driving it this summer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what will this car need then? Is there engine to do, or is
Oh,
it
no,
just...
the engine's in. That's all done. Mechanically, it's done.
Wow.
I was waiting. This bonnet has just been made for me by Morgan.
Really?
The bonnet that came with the car was a disaster.
Uh-huh.
And no amount of time and energy would have made it right. So
Yeah.
the best thing to do was to get a new one. And unlike large companies like we have here, you can have them go back and dig out patterns and make you bits for a car that
So who actually made that for you?
the Morgan factory.
Is
It was
that
made
right?
at the factory, yeah. Yeah. The framing of the body is all ash.
Ash,
This
really?
back here is ash. Yeah.
Painted ash.
Yes, I painted it for protection. Morgan didn't
Now,
protect the
ash
wood.
is, I understand there's very long cells in ash, and it's a strong
It's
wood.
very hard wood.
Right, hard wood.
This was a learning process because I broke off
Amazing.
a lot of screws
Yeah.
before I learned that you had to pre-drill and you had to lubricate the screws,
Yeah, with soap?
which I did with soap.
With soap.
And,
See? We're
with-
teaching you cabinet making at the same time.
Yes,
Excellent.
without the soap, you
So
broke the screws.
You didn't drill the hardwood at first, and it was a learning experience.
Correct.
A guy of 21 years still
Yeah,
gets...
but I had never done a
Yeah.
restoration on a coach-built body before.
Right.
No, it was a
Amazing.
learning experience. I do have some cars outside I'd like you to see.
Oh, do you?
that are here
Great.
for repairs.
Well, we saw them on the way in, and I'd like
Yeah.
to see them close up. That would be fantastic.
In the summer, there would
Isn't
be...
Sue's car nice?
Oh, it's gorgeous. She takes such good care of everything.
That's great.
In the summer, there'd be a lot more work here, but
Sure.
as you can see, the
Now,
snow is not...
To the
That's my car.
That's an A35.
A35.
That some people may misunderstand from a distance anyway. They might say, oh, it's a Morris Minor.
Yes, quite often people
Sure.
mistake it for a Morris Minor.
What's the story
Or they'll
behind...
call it an Austin Mini,
Right.
even because they know the name Austin. I love this car.
It's a beautiful car, I think.
it's,
Very unique.
It's great fun. It's a great icebreaker. People are not afraid to talk to you if you pull up to the curb in an A35.
Really.
The A35 is actually the platform, the basis for the bug-eyed Sprite.
Right.
The engine, the transmission.
That's the Austin Healey Bug-Eye Sprite.
Correct.
Right.
A lot of the suspension is all interchangeable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In fact, I've gone the other direction, and this has disc brakes on it
Does it?
from the Austin Healey,
Okay.
well, from a later Sprite.
Right.
And the hydraulic rear brakes from a later Sprite.
So
and,
this is rear-wheel drive?
And the bigger, yes, rear-wheel
Rear,
drive.
okay.
Yep.
Very good.
The engine practically disappears in the engine compartment.
Does it?
It's a long way down.
So that's like an Austin Mini Cooper engine.
It would be the same, very similar.
Right.